everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions. And you ought to know. Oh, I forgot to change our thing.
Oh, you did?
I did. I already had it a thing, and we were going to make it, Isn't It Ironic? And I forgot. But then I also had the Alanis Morissette joke written out for the intro. So.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes. I'm Laura Lavoie, and I'm here with Bill Perkins, who has opinions.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic, though? Don't you think?
Don't you think? Wait, I can fix that.
All right.
You know I can fix that, right?
Now you need to change it because I just said that out loud.
Well, no, now it's more fun.
All right.
If I can type.
Yeah. So, since we're just covering dead air here.
Hey, it's anything for comedy. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah.
Hey, see?
Okay, there.
All right, here we go. We're good. All right, let's start again. I would totally just play the
intro again.
But I won't do that.
Yeah.
So, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's about it. It's a fine day. It's a lovely day in Western North Carolina.
It was a weird day. We started out with some lousy March weather.
But then it got gorgeous.
It was beautiful by the afternoon, but this morning it was like wintertime. I was like, seriously? Like, what the hell? It is after Mother's Day. It's time to warm the fuck up.
Yeah, please. I think you actually sent me a message that said lousy smay weather.
Yeah, because I don't know what it was here, but it was 37 at my house first thing in the morning.
It was not warm. It was not
very chilly. And because we get up in the morning and the first thing we do is we always go, oh, computer, what's the weather today? And it'll tell you what the current is, and then it'll tell you what the high is going to be. And when it tells us what the current is, my wife's always like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. Because it was freaking cold first thing this morning. And, yeah, but it's nice now. It's like 70 something now.
Oh yeah, it got
beautiful
super
outside.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
So I guess we're just doing that weird vacillating thing where you got to wear a sweater that you're going to shuck and forget later. You know,
it's got to be almost over. It is May, almost mid-May in Western North Carolina.
That's what I'm saying.
We got to be done with this.
I don't know. I'm going to play hooky in the middle of the week sometime because if you notice this, it has a tendency lately to do this thing where it's beautiful in the middle of the week. And then as soon as the weekend rolls around, it like rains like hell all weekend or something, and a cold front moves in.
Yeah.
And so I swear to God, I'm just gonna call in sick one day. Thankfully, nobody I work with watches this shit. But I'm just gonna call in, and I'm not lying. I am sick. I'm sick of working.
Yeah.
On a nice day.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
So I'm gonna call in sick sometime soon and just go fucking do what I want to do in the middle of the week.
You know what?
It's beautiful.
We call those mental health days,
exactly.
and you can absolutely take one.
Well, you know, I realized at the end of last year, I've been belly aching for 2 years that I only had like 5 vacation days. I've got 10 now, but I realized that last year I was looking at my like pay stub thing that they have sick days and vacation days as 2 separate banks, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh fuck, and I never took a sick day at all. Like, so I could have just been sick.
It's time for a sick day.
It's time for some sick days.
You know, though, I gotta lay down some truth here. Businesses, stop doing that shit.
Yeah.
We can trust adults to be fucking adults. Give people unlimited time off, no questions asked, and then only address the people that are taking advantage of it.
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, everybody else is fucking fine.
The guy who takes a 6-month hiatus, you can fire him.
That's
everybody else, they're fine. They're probably like me and they fucking work all the time. I never take a goddamn sick day, even if they're sick, because that's the thing I'll do is I'll sit there fucking miserable until maybe like 2:30 in the afternoon. I'll finally go, oh my God, my fever's so high. I should probably just like go lay down. Well, and then I'll finally tell my boss, I think this fever is awful. I got to go lay down. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, you should have took a sick day, you know?
Right. Isn't that the lesson we learned from COVID? Right? Because during COVID, if you came into work sick, you were killing everybody you worked with. At least in the beginning.
Yeah. But it's funny because like for the last 10 years, we've all done this.
We've all done it.
We like you get something, an illness and you go to work anyway because because you got to find fucking number of days and like who wants to take them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's part of my issue with corporate America.
Exactly.
Let's trust our employees. This is a PSA that has nothing to do with the topic of this.
No, it doesn't. But it's
trust employees.
It's for real, and it's been real since the 90s. If you want to look at it that way,
it's true. Since before it, really.
Yeah.
But, all right then. So now that we did that, what you drinking?
Oh, currently, I'm having this. It's Bell's.
Oh yeah.
Lemon lime flamingo fruit fight. It just sounded wacky. So I was like, well, whatever this is, I'll try it. I mean, well, first off, I like lime beers.
And it's a Goza, so it's kind of a sour, but it's also kind of salty.
Yeah.
So it doesn't taste as sour as a sour usually, if they're done well. What do you think?
No, it's you know what? It honestly tastes more like almost like a lime lager.
Nice. Which
So
I know is up your alley.
Which is my thing. Honestly, I've kind of grown tired of Gozas. I went on a Goza rampage about 2 summers ago. And, and I feel like I burned myself out on it. Like now they all just taste like fucking warheads to me.
Yeah, I can't do sours. I can't do Gozas. Like I just like we talked about it a few shows ago. I just want a beer flavored beer.
I'm getting that way. But I still like a hint of lime on things.
Hint of lime is good.
And this one's actually fairly. I mean, I would say it's a tad more tart.
Show it to the camera.
It's a tad more tart than I would say a typical lime lager is. Okay,
sure, right.
But it's not as tart as what I would usually call a Goza. So I don't know. It's right on that threshold there.
All right.
Prior to this, sorry, I just wanted to mention this. Prior to this, I had this.
Oh yeah.
The Fonta Flora Fonta, which is a Paloma style, which is also kind of tart. Actually, It was more tart than this is.
Yes. So it's their ale. It's not really a sour or a Goza, but because it's a Paloma, you get that tartness.
Yeah, and then I'm going to be finishing up also with
ginger lime.
Lemon ginger zombie, which is a wheat beer that's got it mostly tastes like a ginger ale with a hint of lemon in it. That's what I'll be finishing with.
Nice. It sounds on par with your overall beer story tonight. You kind of have a theme, right?
Do I? Yeah.
Yeah, you got lemon, lime, Paloma. You got slightly tart but drinkable beers.
There you go.
What you got going for.
So
I went 5 years earlier than our theme with a 1985.
They didn't have
a 1990 or 1995. But I also I think we talked about on the show. We had a hard time finding these, and now they're releasing them in 6-packs, so we're finding them everywhere.
Wow.
So I keep buying them.
Yeah, because you like it.
I do. I like it a lot, and it is just an IPA, which I like IPAs, but it's a mango IPA, so it's got like a little bit of a tropical flavor.
Oh, does it? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, and then I also had one before the show, but I'm gonna drink one after. I also have a Bell's beer, just classic.
The classic Oberon.
The classic Oberon,
which also is a good. I would drink that also, except for I've got all these other things. So
yeah, but it's a good beer.
It is. I'm not knocking it.
It's a solid ass beer.
It's totally good.
So here's a funny connection to the 90s, right? I went to college in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh yeah,
where Bell's is, and you could go to their original brewery, which is nothing like going to a brewery today. It was literally like a room where you could go. And they would actually, if you brought them any container, they would fill it like a growler. So you could bring like an empty milk gallon, and they would fill it like a growler.
I got a Ziploc bag.
I bet you could. Like a thermos. Like you could bring anything you wanted, right? And what haven't you seen? Oberon? You have seen Oberon. What haven't you seen yet?
Oh, he hasn't seen 1985.
Oh, 1985, yeah.
I know he's talking about that because it's one he likes.
It is local here, so I get why we're seeing it. It's one that
Jay likes.
I know, I agree, which is why I was like, what? Yeah. Yes, that's fair. So hopefully it will come soon because they are releasing it in 6-packs.
If not, we'll get you a 6-pack for Dragon Con.
Yay.
But
yeah, so you could, in the 90s, you could go get Bell's Oberon in some sort of jug. The thing was, in the 90s, I didn't drink beer. Like,
Me neither.
I wasn't feel like I missed out. Like, I remember going to the brewery.
Did you? Because I think the reason I didn't drink beer in the 90s was because most of the places.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys had
this.
Okay, so Michigan had craft beer. We didn't
at least Kalamazoo.
We didn't have craft beer yet down here, so like it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
That's fair.
Like there was nothing.
That's fair. We had Bell's. Bell's has been around for a long
towards the end of the 90s, we did have a thing. They finally started opening we finally started having like.
Actually, I should say we had this because this is the other thing.
I would say by 90. 98, 99, we started getting breweries and brew pubs and gastropubs and things like that.
Right.
That's when that. Oh my God, there used to be a chain in the late 90s.
Wait, is this a sidetrack? Are we sidetracking?
Yeah,
Are we doing that?
Sure.
We're sidetracking?
there was a chain in the late 80s. No, the late, maybe it was the late 80s, but early 90s for sure. In the South, there was like a steakhouse called Hops. Did you ever hear this?
Mm-mm.
It was called Hops, and they had a little room in the middle. Like you'd walk in the door, and there would be a little glassed off room in the middle of the place that had the tanks and shit. And so they brewed their own beer. They had like 3 beers they brewed. I mean, it was like one IPA and one porter and one regular lager or something. And it was a steakhouse though. The steakhouse was on par with like I would say like a Outback or something like that. Like it was not a great steakhouse, but not a shitty like
Sure.
like okay,
Yeah,
the okayest
absolutely.
of steaks.
Yeah, we had a place called Steak and Ale, which is
Oh,
probably
we had those
Yeah.
way back in the day. Okay,
I
like
remember
yeah, because it was a
steak
Tudor.
and
That
Ale.
was a Tudor
yeah,
style
Tudor
joint.
style, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was from the 80s. That was a holdover.
Oh, Michigan is always about a decade behind the
Okay,
times.
well,
so.
you're better off than Cincinnati. Which, listen, I'll tell you a funny story. I stopped in Cincinnati. I want to say it was in the early 2000s. I stopped there and I got out of the car, and there were girls in the Skyline Chili place that had their hair teased up like I was still in fucking high school, and I was like, the hell,
Yep.
like this is long gone. What are you doing?
Which, by the way, as a girl that could not tease her hair like that, oh my god.
Oh yeah, you
Like,
got
oh,
really
like-
fine hair, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do, but then I would end up with like, how do I do it? Wait, I'm backwards. I literally can't. Okay, there we go. Like if I did it would just be like this, like just straight up, like a shelf. It wouldn't have happened. Literally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've got pretty fine hair, and yeah, I mean, I have decent hair, but it's bone straight and fine. So
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. And so all of like the high school pictures, everybody in my yearbook with the teased up hair,
Oh, yeah.
and then there's me, and then there's the teased up hair. I think I did have I had bangs, but we just curled them.
Oh, okay.
So they were just like a
Oh,
big block of curls.
Oh, you did the front roll?
Yeah,
like the
but-
page boy kind of thing?
and
Okay.
yeah, no, I was traumatized in the 90s. So it's amazing that we're having this conversation because I was traumatized in the 90s.
yeah.
But so we do want to talk about, and I think for both of us as tail end Gen Xers, right?
Yeah.
That we have a very specific relationship to 90s music, as opposed to even 90s kids who like were born in the 90s or the very late 80s.
Or like that was their formative years.
Yeah.
This was like yeah, because
These were our college
we were
years.
finishing high school, starting college.
Yeah, it was our coming of age
young
years.
adulthood, even like by the mid to late 90s.
Right? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
I had my first job.
Yeah,
Like, it
exactly.
was-
Yeah, I was working by 96.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know.
Yeah, I graduated college in 97, so I had my first job right after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we were talking about 90s music, which I realized for some tail end Gen Xers is a unique topic because we have very specific 90s music
Yeah.
tastes. But so let's go ahead and get into it.
yeah.
Will you get us started with a bit of a monologue?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, like she was just saying, so I graduated from high school in 92. So it was, you know, the stuff was sort of like really congealing then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say I want to say this episode is going to be very heavily, I would say 90s alternative influenced, even though there were many great styles of music during the 90s. And we'll talk about them all still. But I want to say, I mostly listened to 90s alternative, college rock, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
during that time period. There's a lot of 90s styles of music that I like since then. There was maybe one other thing I dabbled in for a minute, but during the 90s. But mostly that's what I listened to in the 90s. And so this is going to be very heavy on that. And so I'm going to pre-apologize for our lack of diversity.
That is fair. And we have a huge list of types of music, but
Yeah.
we probably won't get to all of them.
Right.
Because,
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm going to pre-apologize.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, I was really into. I will say this. There's another thing in the early '90s. I'd say pre-95. The internet didn't really start until around. I would say around '95. Is that when the internet kind of took off?
I did put it on here. Because Napster came out when I was in college.
Okay.
And when I was in college, like our university was still on, and it was called a VAX system, but it was like everything was still text.
Yeah.
Like we had email, and we even played Muds, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Muds
Muds
were
and the
it was
Moons.
all literally all text.
Yeah, no, I
Right?
remember that. Yeah.
So
But no, I want to say that was around like '95
Yeah.
when the internet became like sort of blew up when it
Mhm.
became a thing.
Yes.
I did take a class even like towards the end of I want to say it was my senior year. I took a class on HTML and stuff.
Oh, nice.
You know,
nice. Yeah, you were ahead of the game.
Oh,
Because a lot of people were like in 1998, we're teaching HTML.
Yeah, no,
Like, oh, we're beyond that.
sorry,
We're
it
not-
wasn't. It was actually a class in Java.
Oh, yes.
I actually taught myself HTML because I worked in the computer lab at school, and so I had basically my job was to babysit the computer lab, just basically make sure people didn't take the trackballs out of mice.
Yeah,
And didn't try to put acetate in the printer
yeah,
because the kids who were doing like PowerPoint, well, not PowerPoint, but because we still had overhead projectors, they would
right.
try to print their pie graphs
Yeah.
on a piece of acetate,
Exactly.
and the laser printer would eat up a piece of acetate. And so my job was to say, hey, we're not sticking that shit in my printer, you know, and also to say, hey, you put that mouse ball back in that mouse now, you know. That was,
Exactly,
Honestly, that was my
exactly.
whole job. So I was babysitting these computer labs at night.
That's fair. So that was actually Matt's job in college too.
Yeah.
Which is why we're together today.
Okay.
Is I went
Yeah.
I went to ask him out while he was working at the computer lab, and then he asked me out instead.
Okay.
It was it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like you do.
So that's the thing you did back in the day was you worked at the computer lab. But anyway, what I was going to say, so the internet, I remember the internet developing kind of under my eyes, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, but so pre-internet though, there was nothing. So even in the early days of the internet, we didn't have streaming services. Like you couldn't sit at home and watch Netflix and blah, blah, blah. So music was an important aspect of our lives back then because it was one of those things you did, right? Like I know from the time I was in late high school, even all I wanted to do was go see live music all the time. Like if I had a minute that I could go see a live show, I would do it. I was telling Laura before the show, the t-shirt I'm wearing, Driving and Crying, I actually went to see this show on a Sunday night in Columbia, South Carolina. Now I lived an hour and a half away from Columbia, South Carolina. And my mother asked me, I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to go to a concert tonight. Is it okay? She said, are you going to be back by 10? And I said, yeah. But I knew I wasn't. I knew they weren't going to drum check until 10. I knew I was going to be back at 3 a.m.
Right.
And I was
just went with that.
I was like, you know what? We'll deal with that shit when I get home. That's fine.
Exactly.
It was actually the biggest fight me and my mom ever had.
Oh man.
Yeah, she was very put out. And I recognize in retrospect that, like, you know, it was very dismissive of her and her feelings and, you know, whatever. And it wasn't even a band I fucking love. But
right, but it was just live music.
But in my defense, a girl I really liked was going and asked, hey, do you want to go to this? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do.
That's fair.
You know, so that's
fair. It's funny you say that because we had a rule in our household that you weren't allowed to go see concerts until after you graduated from high school.
Huh.
I don't know why. Because I mean, I can promise you I've seen a shit ton of live music since, and I'm not a Satanist.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem.
It's not because you become a Satanist?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
The right shows then.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the actual problem was, but apparently live music would make you a terrible person. And so the first concert I went
to,
the
gyrating.
Yeah, I graduated. Yeah, and we weren't even Baptist, man. So I graduated in 1993, and right afterwards, I went to a concert. I saw Elvis Costello, and the opening band was Crash Test Dummies. And I'll tell you, that was a great fucking show, but it was also the first show I ever saw.
Yeah.
So I was
speaking of this is because this is related to the 90s.
Sure.
The first show I saw, I've been to Christian concerts prior to that. But the first show I got to pick, like, I'm going to go see this thing. This was important to me. The first show I saw was the B-52s, and it was on their tour following the release of Cosmic Thing. In the early 90s.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh my God, I love. They put on a hell of a good show. Actually, they're doing their farewell. Like
They
this is
are.
it. Final.
I would, if
tour.
that's anywhere near us, I would totally go see it.
I'm on the fence
I
because
mean,
because they're missing like
Yeah,
many member. Like
that's fair.
and that's
Well,
the thing. Like aging rock bands where they're missing most of their members. I'm kind of like,
Well, they're yeah.
You know.
So they have Fred,
They have Fred and Kate and Cindy.
and that's. I mean, they only had one other member.
Yeah, Keith, but he's out. So I'm like, I mean, they had two other members. One of them died of AIDS back in the late '80s.
The late '80s, sure.
So at this point, though, I'm like,
That one we can't control for.
we got control for
We
it.
don't have any of that.
And he was dead when I went to see them in
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the early '90s. But
But you know what?
it
If,
was if
if it's not an inconvenient show, like I'm not going to go
Sure,
to
yeah.
Raleigh.
Don't
to
put
see
yourself-
it.
don't ever put yourself out to see an aging rock band that's missing members.
But if they come close,
Yes.
like anywhere within like an hour or two drive,
Yeah,
I'd probably consider that.
sure.
Sure.
I mean, depending on ticket price, I would also say that
Also that ticket price for sure.
because that's
yes.
fucking bullshit sometimes. And I have a $40 cutoff, and if you're not $40 or less, then fuck you. I don't need to see you.
Whew, that's all right.
That's the explicit lyrics we were talking about earlier.
That is. We did say explicit lyrics.
Yeah,
All right, so we should probably real quick take a
I guess we
break.
should do that.
All right, so the reason I'm choosing this station break is because you have an authentic from 1991, that's insane. That this is not dust. Actual shirt.
Yeah.
So I don't have any concert shirts from the 90s.
Right.
Just because I am old and they are no longer.
Yeah, well,
Like,
this,
I had
I told
some.
Laura this was one of the only ones left in my drawer because most of them have disintegrated.
Right.
Yeah, the only other '90s band shirt I have is a Dead Milkman shirt, and I just bought that last year as a reproduction.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have a Descendants shirt.
Yeah.
But I bought it at the Descendants show like 4 years ago.
Yeah, so
it
this
doesn't
is
count.
the one from the '90s that I bought on tour.
So
Yeah,
but the shirt I am wearing is based on concert shirts. But
yeah,
so a friend of ours, who I will now show you, right? So Geek Orthodox, along with sweet custom stained glass or nerdy stained glass. He also does T-shirt designs.
he does. He does a lot of T-shirt designs. And a lot of them are mashups.
Yes.
Of like this pop culture thing mixed with this pop culture thing. And so one of the things he does a lot of is he does a lot of like
These concert
concert
T-shirts.
tour shirts mixed with like a fantasy. My wife has one, and it's
it's Game of Thrones.
it's a Game
right?
of Thrones one. Yeah, it's the Daenerys one or something. I think.
Yes, I can't. Shit, I can't remember. Dragonborn, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's made to look like a heavy metal concert T-shirt.
Yeah.
So Ring Bearer is of course like the Lord of the Rings / Hobbit version.
Yes.
And on the back is all it says down here there and back again, which of course was the original,
the
title.
AKA of the Hobbit. Actually.
Right, and on the back has all like it's got the locations like you would a concert T-shirt,
Yeah.
but it's all like the area.
It's very reminiscent of my old Billy and the Boingers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I had that same T-shirt and
Yes.
I miss it every day. I actually every once in a while Google that to see if I can find
go
one.
on eBay or something.
Absolutely, because I loved that shirt. That
Yeah.
was a shirt that it was my brother's,
Yeah.
and like he got rid of it, or he decided he didn't want it anymore. But I was like, my chore was folding laundry.
Yeah.
So anything my brother didn't want anymore, I took.
Yeah. Just like okay.
So I had
now.
the Billy and the Boinger shirt. Absolutely. I loved that shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has that look to it and I love it. So check out if you want some like classic concert T-shirts but with nerdy topics,
Right.
check out Geek Orthodox. I'll put it up on the screen one more time.
Yeah.
Because they don't just do stained glass, they do T-shirts too.
Yeah.
So check
He does
them
some
out.
really great T-shirts. I actually need to buy another T-shirt.
Yeah. So, all right. So, yes, the 9 Inch Nails Downward Spiral. I had a couple. I mean, I had tons of concert T-shirts from the 90s, but it is also the 2020s now, and I do not have any.
Yeah,
of them
I went through
anymore.
I don't know whether I went through a purge or whether most of them probably got just very badly worn to
Sure.
the point where I was like, okay, fuck it. I do think there actually is an original Dead Milkman shirt that's not the one I replaced. I have a tour shirt from one of their tours that I still have, but it is, honest to God, it's being held on by threads. And I only keep it so when I go every 6 years, when I get to see the Dead Metal live, I put it on. I actually have to
It's
put
like
a
a
shirt.
lucky shirt.
I have to put another shirt on under it.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Because it's like a fucking, it's almost like a fishnet shirt at this point. Like it's the print that's holding it together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh wait. Oh God. Here's a woo. This is a big first real concert. Family Values 1999. Limp Bizkit headline. Stained, Filter, Primus, Redman, Method Man. Yeah, that's some shit. That's some 90s shit right there.
I will say this. I got a funny story. Primus. I saw Primus live in a small club. I was in high school still. Me and a friend, we thought we were going to go to a Fishbone show. I guess we misread the listings or something. So I'm sorry. I lived in a little tiny rural town, and I think it was a Saturday. So this is how my mom didn't want me to go to concerts either. Like she would. So what I would do is me and a friend, we were always like, I'm spending the night with him. I'm spending the night with him. You know, we'd pull that shit. And as long as we were spending the night with each other, our parents didn't know where the fuck we were.
Yeah,
and this was before cell phones, so they couldn't check in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blah blah blah.
I did a couple things like that in the in the 90s.
So we would do that kind of stuff when we wanted to go to a concert. So anyway, I want to say it was a Friday or Saturday night. We were spending the night with each other. We were going to go see Fishbone, we thought, but we misread the listings, and apparently Fishbone was playing in Charleston, South Carolina, which we did not drive to. We drove to Columbia, and we got there and then found out that the big club in Columbia, it was not Fishbone, it was Primus. But we're like, oh, you know, basically same kind of.
Sure.
I mean, it's a funk group, whatever. We'll see this. So we went and saw Primus, and I've seen Primus twice actually, also. But that was the first time I saw Primus. This was, I want to say it was right before Seas of Cheese came out.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It was before they blew up, actually.
Yeah, because I would say Primus was a product of its era.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Totally hasn't aged well. I fucking hate Primus now. Like, I can listen to one Primus song.
But at the time, I bought Seas of Cheese. I had
all that Seas of Cheese. I actually bought the one with Winona's Big Brown Beaver on it, too.
Yeah,
And I used to play that shit over and over again because I used to use it to test my car stereo. Like I would use it for equalizing because if you got the bass right on the Primus, you were like, bam, okay, there we go, you know?
So one time I was downtown Asheville and I ran into Les Claypool at a restaurant.
I was eating a burrito?
Yes, he was, as it turns out, because it was at a fusion Mexican restaurant. But it was when he was doing a tour with Sean Lennon. Oh, yeah. So he was with Sean Lennon. Yeah. And we saw that we were like, hi, Les Claypool and Sean Lennon. And then we were on our way out.
Like, how you doing there? I'm Les Claypool. How you doing?
Exactly. That is precisely how that would go. All right. So since this is a big topic for us, especially since this was really our coming of age, right? So we've got a big old group of. Let's start with this, right?
Okay. I was saving this for the end, but okay.
No, let's do it now because I don't know that there will be an end.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We might as well. Okay, so yeah, our top 5 90s records.
Have top 5 90s records. So I'll start with yours.
Okay,
right?
so again, pre-apologizing for lack of diversity. My criteria for this was A, this was an album that was very important to me in the 1990s. B, it's an album that I still listen to today.
Yes, and I tried to do, when you said that to me, I did the same thing.
Okay, so here we go.
Yes.
The Pixies' Doolittle, we're going in actual order. Like this is number 1. We're not counting them down.
All right, that's fair. Actually, mine could be in the same order.
This is my number 1. I fucking love this album. I still listen to it all the time. It's a solid fucking album. The Pixies are my jam. They're my number 1 favorite thing ever. Top rock band of all time.
All right.
So yeah.
Good shit.
There you go. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song on that album that you would point someone to?
God,
to encapsulate.
So
the 90s?
Thing is, it's a solid album. It's really hard. But I will say, if you were going to listen to one song on that, Gouge Away. Gouge Away is the best song on there. There you go. You listen to Gouge Away. Oh my God! I saw some footage recently of shows they've played in the last couple of years. They start with Gouge Away, and they do this thing where they play the bass line for like 3 minutes before the song even comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes the hair on your back stand up if you're like me and you have a
Which
hairy
is
back.
also that's fair. This is also a topic that we'll try to touch on because I like that stuff with limits. You know what I mean?
No, it works when it works. It
it
doesn't
works
always.
when it works. Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get to that too because that's part of our show also.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so number two, King
two.
Missile, mystical shit. I saw King Missile the first time when they opened for the Dead Milkmen in
Oh yeah.
in Cat's Cradle in Chapel Hill. This was back when the Cat's Cradle was actually in Chapel Hill before it moved to Carborough. This was, I don't even know if it was an all ages show. I snuck in. I don't fucking know. Like, but I heard the Dead Milkmen were within 3 hours of me, and I was going to see it.
Mhm.
So again, me and my friend spent the night with each other. We drove to Chapel Hill, which was about a 3-hour drive from my house.
Right.
And we ended up sleeping in the car. But we saw our fucking Dead Milkmen show. But also, again, I was exposed to King Missile, who was the opening act on that particular tour. They were fucking excellent. That's one of the few. There's only been a couple times where you go see. Most of the time you go see a show and you don't really care for like the opening act. Yeah, whatever. I can take her or leave them.
Mhm.
Sometimes, once in a while though, you get exposed to a band. And you're like, motherfucker.
Oh God, yes.
Like I could have just gone and seen them and I'd have been happy.
Absolutely, I love when that happens.
And King Missile was that. And I know most people know King Missile from the next album they had after this, which was the one that had Detachable Penis.
Yes.
Which was a popular. This is the one that had Jesus Was Way Cool, which was a hit on the college radio charts.
Yes. Well, pop that up again real quick. But yes, so mystical shit.
It's kind of like, and this is the thing about 90s albums. They had like 28 tracks on a fucking CD.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was not a thing prior to that. Like or after that, really. Like there was a period of time, like because going into the like in the 80s, albums had 10 to 12 tracks on them.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in the 90s, suddenly albums.
Well, because it was all kind of digital. Like it had gone slightly digital. Like instead of a record where you had limited space for your songs.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Now you had more space for your songs, so you could just burn it.
Yeah. So they would come out, you'd get an album and you'd be like, motherfucker, this thing's got 28 tracks on it. I'll be damned. And especially that was true of college indie rock, whatever.
Yeah, The Descendants, which I did not put on here, but it is one of my favorite bands.
Although, to be fair, The Descendants, all their songs were like a minute long.
Right, but they were the kings of that. Like, yeah, it would be like, there would be 70 songs on an album, but half of them were a minute long.
Right.
Yes, but they were kings of that.
Okay, so yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
And this one's a good one. I did not have this on my list, but I think this is a really good example.
Oh my God, because Beck just, he grabbed a lot of things and mushed them together. And it was just, and I mean, I really loved his first album too, but Odelay was the one that every fucking body owned, It was so solid. I mean, Devil's Haircut's on that. 2 turntables and a microphone.
Yeah, I mean, which is the classic.
Oh my God, everybody loves that shit.
Who doesn't love that?
It's a good goddamn album. It's solid. You can listen to it all the way through. It's a great album, and it's just it's like a little hip hop, a little funk, a little alternative. It's like a lot of he's got a lot of influences. I
saw Beck play live in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
Because a lot of my life is sectioned between like graduated from college and then moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
And I moved to Georgia in 2003. So there's a lot of things that were like right on the cusp of the 90s and the 2000s. So we saw him in Dido opened. Of course, her song
crazy.
Thank You, right? And she also did like Thank You was big on Eminem's, he did Stan.
I remember she did the thing with Eminem. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So here's another one that I think is interesting. That you have this on the same, because we were talking about Primus, and I honestly put the Butthole Surfers on the same level as Primus.
Really?
Personally.
So Primus to me hasn't aged well. Like
Mm-hmm.
I actually say Primus and the Red Hot Chili Peppers both, they still sound like they're doing the same fucking thing.
I agree. Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Butthole Surfers might be doing the same thing too. I haven't listened to Butthole Surfers, but this album I can listen to. It was a solid album. Every song on it is fucking awesome. So you know what Butthole Surfers, their whole thing is, it's like a Black Sabbath album sped the fuck. Like if you put a Black Sabbath album on like if you put it on 45, that's what it would sound like, right? Like I think the Butthole Surfers, their whole sound is you take the Black Sabbath and you speed it up.
Right. I hear you.
And that just works to me. It's like it's better than any fucking speed metal album you've ever heard. It's so good. It I don't know, and it's irreverent. It pisses on religion and tradition and all the things I want to piss on as a teenager. And at the same time, it's loud and angry and noisy.
Yeah, I hear that.
I don't know, just cuckoo pants and good times. So,
I hear that. I totally hear that.
All right.
Then I thought this was an interesting choice for you because I get that he made music in the 90s. I get this, but this artist doesn't scream 90s to me.
Oh,
right. So Tom Waits'
Bone Machine album is a solid album. It was probably his most radio friendly album, I would say. Like, this was when he reached that moment of where it was really listenable.
Yeah.
Because Tom Waits can be abrasive.
He can be not listenable.
He can be not listenable. But this album has got some smash hits. Actually, one of the songs on this was so good that the Ramones covered it.
Yeah.
You remember I Don't Want to Grow Up?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a really great song, but there's some really it's a fucking great album. It's kind of like that Beck album a little bit. It's like it's got a lot of influences. It's bluesy and it's industrial and it's all over the fucking place.
It really is, because I don't associate Tom Waits with the 90s, but that album does, he went with it. He's just like, this is the evolution of music and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it was a little grungy too, I would say, but it worked. It really worked. Okay.
All right, so let's transition to my top.
Sure,
which is going to be interesting comparatively, right?
I guess.
So what I want to preface this with was, before 1992, I listened to cheese metal.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing. Poison, Motley Crue, Warrant, that was my shit.
Mm-hmm. But everybody listened to that before that.
Yeah, it's true. And I actually have a slide here that I'm not going to show.
I do want to say, I feel like a lot of the 90s was almost a response. It was to the cheese metal of the late 80s, because
it was for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Grunge was absolutely a counter to that. Absolutely. So I'm going to do the same thing. This is my top to least.
Uh-huh.
Well, not least. I mean, there are my favorite albums. That
okay.
Again, the criteria was, do I still listen to it today? The whole thing, start to finish.
Hey, you put an extra.
I did have an extra, but I'm going to skip that one. Well, because I remembered a different one in the.
Okay.
So all right. So we're going to start. I was a Tory girl in the 90s.
No.
And a lot of girls were Tory girls in the 90s.
Hey, you know what? In all fairness, I also owned this album in the 90s, and I wore it the fuck out.
Yeah, it was
so I'm not gonna knock this at all. Tori Amos was the shit. She's good stuff. I listen to this album. This is a solid album also.
100%.
There's things on this that also make my hair stand up when I hear them.
Fucking A, yes.
It's got some really I don't know, she's great, but the production on this album is also fucking great.
Yes, yes. 100%. It is. I can't think of a song I do not like on it. My favorite song probably of all time is Winter, which is, I still list as my favorite song of all time, but it came out when I was, 18 or whatever. It's just a solid song. When You Gonna Love You As Much As I Do? That's some shit, right? Yeah. That gets in your soul and you're like, fuck me. She has a song on there about her rape.
Yeah. And that was that's the jarring thing on that album, I guess, is that. It's
just a story. It just tells the story. This is
what
happened.
because it needs to be.
Yes.
Because it's so, because also another album. I don't know if this might have been the late 80s, early 90s. It's kind of similar to the first Tracy Chapman album. Has an acapella song that's about domestic violence.
Yes. Well, and even I don't remember the era of this, but even Suzanne Vega's acapella Luca, which was about domestic violence.
Okay, yeah.
So that was a big thing apparently at the time. Right. You do an acapella song about your violence.
About the violence that's going on.
But it is fucking powerful.
Yeah, because you have to focus on it. You can't get distracted by but that bass line really slaps.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to hear the message. All right, so the second album I want to point out, this was a Canadian rock band in the 90s. Our Lady Peace, Happiness is a Fish You Can't Catch. You don't see this on the album title because it literally just says happiness. The actual title
Oh.
is Happiness is a Fish You Can't Catch. This album, start to finish, every single song is amazing.
Okay, so you're gonna need to remind me what was the breakout
Superman.
on this? Superman.
Yeah, Superman song was their big.
Uh,
I cannot sing a song. Like,
wait, it's not the song about kryptonite though, is it?
No. That's Three Doors Down.
I don't. Okay, so maybe I don't know it.
You should 100% listen to it. Yes, Amy says listen to them. This album in particular, though, every last song is amazing. There's a song called Thief. All the songs are great. There's a song called Thief that is just stunningly beautiful.
Okay.
That's my favorite. So you definitely should check that out. Go home, like on your way, put it on Spotify on your way home.
Right.
Listen to it. Happiness is a fish you can't catch. It's an incredible.
That is a great title, by the way.
Isn't
I love that. It's because it's so fucking true. It's a fish you can't catch. It is.
But they're Canadian. So in the 90s, of course, being from Michigan, a lot of my influence was from Canada.
Right.
Yes, Jay agrees. So you should totally go
because you would
listen
watch the Much Music channel.
to it. Yeah, I mean, because absolutely.
Because your mom didn't like MTV.
My mom didn't, but even still, like on the radio, like they would get more radio play.
Oh, sure. But
They're
I guess
like-
you could pick up the station from Ontario, right?
Yeah, but even on the local. So, all right.
Okay.
And then my third 90s album, I think this one cannot be debated. I'm a Counting Crows fan, man.
Yeah.
Like they're just solid. And I remember
I'm sorry, is this the first or second one?
this is their first album.
Okay,
so
the one with Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I
89X would
actually
play.
bought this the week it came out, and then I ended up. This is one of the 3 albums I ever sold back to the used CD store
Oh,
because I ended up not like I don't. And I was telling you this too. Like I think there's things that you're ready for, and there's things you're not
Yeah.
ready for.
yeah.
And Counting Crows were a little just too mature for me at that age, maybe. I definitely loved their second album.
Yes, a lot of y'all.
was-
Yes, Angels of the Silences and Long December.
Yeah,
Were
Long
off-
December is I've mentioned before is my fucking like New Year's jam, right? Like
So yes, for sure. And so August and Everything After, I also did not like it to begin with because it came out right in that grunge era. Like
it was very different.
I was transitioning between heavy metal, hair metal to grunge. And then suddenly there was this Adam Duritz dude with, Jewish guy with his dreadlocks. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do with that guy?
Right.
And I used to say like his voice, I hate his voice. It's terrible. He has a terrible voice. Like right now, his voice is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like I love the shit out of his voice. He is so good. So I can listen to August and Everything After. I do like the second one that had Angels of the Silences very much, but I like this one very, very, very
Cool.
much.
Yeah.
So my, what's that? 3, 4, my fourth favorite album of the 90s. Being a Tory girl, you also like, that was the Lilith Fair era, right?
Right. Sure. Yeah.
So women empowerment, you listen to the music. Huge fan of the Indigo Girls, and their album Nomads, Indians, and Saints came out, which had some incredible songs, including World Falls and Ghosts and a few things. And I freaking love that. But talk about Georgia. We actually Driving and Crying, right? We talked about how REM came
Indigo
of
Girls
age.
also out of the Athens area.
Absolutely. So
Matthew Sweet. I
Mm,
don't think he's originally from there, but he was working out of that area at the time.
for sure. I love Matthew Sweet.
He almost made my list. He was like a honorable mention.
That's fair. That's fair. Absolutely. So my fifth, and this one, so I had picked another one that I put on the list,
Mhm.
which you see, but
I see.
Our-
Yes,
our
we'll
people
talk about
don't
that
see
in a
it.
minute.
We will talk because
We'll
I
talk-
think
it's worth talking about.
it's one of the most important albums of the era. But when I was thinking about the albums that were influential to me, right,
Sure.
just like you did, this one came up, and this band is most associated with the 80s, but this was their 90s album. It came out in 91 or 92.
Okay.
And it was XTC Nunsuch. And so my brother was a huge XTC fan, and because he was 5 years older than me, like, I felt like, what he likes must be cool. But then this album came out in the 90s, and I liked it. It's great. It had Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead and a few other songs on it that were really good. But I owned the t-shirt
Yeah.
of this, And I met one of my closest friends in college because of that T-shirt.
Oh,
like
yeah.
at our orientation day, this kid comes up to me, and I'm wearing the T-shirt of None Such, and he looks at it and says, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's a band. It's XTC." And he's like, "You, I need to get to know." And he walked away. And he became one of my closest friends in college.
That's cool.
Like, we were seriously.
So it wasn't even he saw it.
He didn't even know what it was.
He just thought, well, that's weird. I like to know new things. That's new.
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
and we were super close
And
throughout college. We've grown apart since.
that automatically makes me think that's a cool person to know because it's a person who wants to know new things.
Absolutely.
You know, like whereas most people, you know, it's like they gravitate towards the things they're already comfortable with.
Absolutely.
But you're like, that's weird. I don't know what that is, but I want to know what it is.
Exactly.
So
So shout out to college friend Doug Peterson. I'm kind of sad that we grew apart because I mean he's still living in Kalamazoo, and you know I've moved to other states, so we don't talk as much. We used to all the fucking time though.
All right. Well,
I miss that kid. All right,
Sorry.
Doug Peterson, I miss you.
Yeah.
All right, so I put this on my list originally.
Yeah.
But then I realized, you know, if we were going for like personally,
it wasn't really personal to you.
No, but it was.
But it was no. I'll give you that, and we'll go ahead.
It's essential.
Go ahead. And
it's essential because it came out in 1992.
Yeah.
And it single-handedly changed music.
It totally like flipped the script on everything in the 90s, and I'll give you that. Now I will say this: I was never a Nirvana fan during the 90s.
Sure.
I did not care for them.
Sure.
And one of my friends actually pointed out to me, he's like, because you were already into the Pixies, and it scratched the same itch. And so it wasn't.
That's fair.
People who were Pixies fans, it wasn't like, wow, this is different. This changes everything. It was just kind of like, I guess this is okay. Like, you know, it's not to say that everybody who was already in the Pixies dismissed it, but it wasn't as mind blowing.
Yeah.
To a Pixies fan.
Yeah.
And so that's that's the best thing I can figure is a friend of mine put it that way to me. He's very into music he's turned me on to a lot of things. So I'm putting that out there. He's like the guy who used to loan me CDs to like get me into new bands. He's the person who turned me on to Spoon.
Yes.
And, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, he's very knowledgeable when he thinks about these things. And we were talking about it one time, and I was like, I just don't get like Nirvana. It's okay, but I never like loved it. You know, and he was like, yeah, it's because you like the Pixies already.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. But I will say this: since the 90s, like when I hear a Nirvana song now on the radio, I'm a lot more receptive to it because I don't know, something about it now, you know, really works for me. I saw a band performed a couple I don't know, a year or so ago at the Purple Onion. This band out of Charlotte that's called the Get Right Band, which is mostly a rock band, but they came around and they were touring with a string quartet also.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the songs they played, it wasn't off of Nevermind, it was off of In Utero. It was
Heart Shaped Box.
No, not
that was
that
the big one.
No.
All right, one of the other ones.
The one about and he likes to shoot his gun.
Oh yeah.
What it takes. What
In Bloom.
In Bloom, yes.
Yes.
They played that.
Yes.
And the way they played it, I was like, suddenly like it hit me like, damn, this is a good song. I like this.
I love In Bloom.
You
It's
know,
one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. So
Amy, you're making me feel very old as a Gen Xer because you were introduced at about 8. I was 17 when that song came out. So just saying.
Yeah, I remember I was in high school when Nevermind dropped.
Yeah.
And
a
friend of mine came over to my house and he was like, "Oh my God, did you hear this Nirvana thing?" And he played it for me, and I was like, "It's all right, I guess, you know."
I also remember, like, as a formative experience, I remember where I was when I heard that Cobain died.
Yeah,
100%. I was in my friend's college apartment, and we had MTV on because it was always on because we were 90s kids.
And it was like
late 80s kids.
MTV News with Kurt Loder.
Yes, it was. It was totally MTV News with Kurt Loder. Somehow we moved our camera.
That's because I just jarred the table by doing some drumming.
It was 100% with Kurt Loder. And yes, and it was like, we regret to, we're telling you this terrible news. Yeah, Amy, no, just don't rub it in, for fuck's sake. I was born in 1975. Stop rubbing it in.
One day you'll ache too.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen. So yes, no, but that was the Kurt Loder. I remember the whole thing. And we were just standing
I read it. This is funny. This will tell you how old I was. I read it in a newspaper. I was at my ex-wife's grandmother's house, and I was reading the newspaper because that's what I did at my ex-wife's grandmother's house, was flip through the newspaper. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, shit. And I didn't really care for me, but my ex-wife's younger sister and her boyfriend were like so into Nirvana. I was like, oh my God, they're going to be broke the fuck up over this,
Right.
It didn't matter to me as much, but I was like, ugh. And then, but I was kind of aware. I was like, this guy was really popular and he just died at the height of his fame. I'm like, now I'll never hear the fucking end of this shit. Like, I was kind of hoping that Nirvana would sort of fade out.
Right. Yeah, no, and they literally didn't and won't.
They won't, because that's what happens when you die at the height of your fame.
Yeah.
Like that's that.
And he's a member of the 27 Club. Like, it makes it super weird.
Yeah.
But then I remember at the time, like, there was a local musician that had a song that was like something about Kurt Cobain dying. Why couldn't it be Eddie Vedder? Like, like people, because you pinned the whole, like, the rivalry that didn't exist, but people insisted it did. The Pearl Jam versus Nirvana.
No, they were completely different fucking things.
Completely different. I mean, they were both grunge, right?
Sure. Okay, they're both from Seattle. That's what
that was it.
They came out of the same scene, I guess, but that doesn't make you rivals.
Exactly.
Like, you know what? When I was in college, I was in bands, and you know what the other bands in my scene were? Friends of mine.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna jump around a little bit because we have some bits we want to do before we get to the end of the show, right?
Yeah,
so you asked me before the show what came from the Midwest,
right? I did ask you that.
You did. So I have two bands I want to talk about from Michigan that happened. So let's get into that real quick. All right, so I went to college from 93 to 97. And in 1993, a little band called the Verve Pipe got huge national recognition for their song, The Freshman. But they played my college freshman orientation concert because that's what they were. Well, that's what they did.
Yeah.
And you said you heard their original version.
I heard it too on my college station out of South Carolina. I remember hearing it, and actually, I was telling her I have that CD. Actually, I feel like I got that CD free from the. I want to say I got it from the college newspaper because they would. So my ex-wife, when we were in college, she was we were just dating, and she was the editor for the college newspaper, and they would get all these like promo CDs in to like review and whatever. And I wound up with a stack of some of them, and I feel like Verve Pipe was one of the ones I wound up with.
That makes sense.
But I really did love it. That song I thought was a deep song, and I told her the first time I heard it, I thought, because I heard the original version, was not the one on the album.
Not the one at all. It's
a little different,
acousticy and sad.
Yeah, and it made me think it was Elvis Costello at the time, who I really love. And then when I found out it wasn't, I was like, well, that doesn't matter. It's still a good song. So when I had the opportunity to grab a free CD of it, I totally did.
Then their studio album version, and the story goes that they only got signed because of the popularity of The Freshman. That when they were forced to re-record it, which they did not want to do, they were kind of angry about it. So the studio version that we all know that became a huge fucking hit, is just angry. Like, it's just mad, the whole thing. But it definitely has, like, that's part of my early 90s experience.
And I do always wonder, so you get the impression there's this story about a kind of a failed romance.
Yeah.
Maybe the girl died. I think she died.
She seems to, but nobody ever knows.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of a mystery. It's mysterious, which is, I think, what makes it likable.
At the very least, she overdosed, right? Like, you get that out of the story.
But Yeah, but I think that kind of thing, that ambiguity makes things popular too. I think sometimes
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
want to be told the whole story. I like the ambiguity of
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Another
Absolutely.
another popular 90s song that's very ambiguous, Possum Kingdom by the Toadies.
Yeah.
The Toadies maintain to this day that it is about a local legend in their small town in Texas. Some ghost story or some shit.
Right.
Everybody else in the world thinks it's about a vampire.
Right.
And I'm of the mindset of once you release the art, it's there for the public.
Right. So whatever people believe it is,
that's what it is. You have no control over it. I'm sorry, Amy Tan. You have to fucking get over yourself.
Joy Luck Club.
Yeah, you have to get over yourself and accept that people are going to interpret it the way they're going to interpret it.
Absolutely.
And because all of us didn't grow up in whatever small Texas town the guy from the Toadies did.
Exactly.
And we're not familiar with whatever the local legend is, we're not going to get that out of that story. Like, sorry, like we're going to relate it how we relate it. And we relate it. Everybody else is going to hear it and go, it's a vampire. I got it. It's a vampire, especially during the 90s when vampires were like the fucking thing.
Right. So, like, yeah, other bands were totally capitalizing on it.
Yeah, the fucking Concrete Blonde.
Concrete Blonde.
Like their whole catalog is like vampires. But
it's not even just vampires. It's the plot of any Anne Rice novel.
Yeah.
Like, you got an Anne Rice novel. We wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear it? Here it goes. Like, that is literally the entire
I'm
catalog.
laughing because you made that In Living Color
reference,
which I fucking love.
That is one of my favorite jokes
I actually made that joke 2 weeks ago on a forum somewhere about something, and it was
honestly, I make that joke constantly. I wrote a something about it. Would you like to hear it? Here it goes.
Yeah.
I do it all the time because that is also a 90s reference.
Yes, it is.
But yes, that is one of my all-time favorite jokes. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to run out of time.
Oh yeah, we are.
So there was something else. Oh, the other it came from the Midwest.
Oh my God, you gotta finish that story.
I do gotta finish.
And then
that
I gotta
story.
segue into something that's not the Midwest.
All right. You know, my favorite image from that is Michigan. I love that. All right. So the other song that I was thinking of was the fucking New Radicals. That's not the name of the band. They're actually called
the fucking New Radicals.
But
Can
their
you believe
song,
that shit?
Yeah. You get what you give.
Yeah.
You're gonna get what you give.
Yeah.
Like that
Apparently
is.
He got threatened by Marilyn Manson because Marilyn Manson didn't like being name dropped in the song.
I mean, Marilyn Manson, as it turns out, is a terrible human. So
yeah, that also.
Would watch the documentary on HBO, please, because it's really good.
Is there one? Okay.
Oh God, yes. So yeah, no, Evan Rachel Wood make a documentary about that shit. Man,
yeah, that guy's.
Yeah, do not.
I actually read his. To sidetrack, I read Marilyn Manson's autobiography years ago,
which he kind of admits all the shit he did.
He basically. At the end of it, I was like, "This guy's a shit human being. I don't want to know him."
Yeah.
I want it. The thing about him is, I think what's endearing about him is he's a very intelligent person, right?
Sure, but he's also abusive.
He's a very abusive, and he doesn't give a shit. Like he's not terribly empathetic towards any other human being. You know what set me off? There was one little anecdote in his book that he told.
He wrote
There's
it.
one little anecdote where he says he's walking down the street and a lady got in a car wreck and she was dying, and he was walking down the street and saw it happen, and she's reaching out to him and she goes, "Hey, I just want somebody to hold my hand while I die," and he didn't want to get involved.
Yeah, no, that's
and when I read that, I was like, that's a shit fucking person.
Honestly, either like whatever. If that's just a story you tell, that's a shitty story.
Why, like that's what I'm saying. And even if it's made up, like why would you tell that?
Like it's
why
just shitty. You're a terrible person.
So
watch the documentary on HBO.
He's a shit person.
He's a terrible person.
I mean, even though I will say this. At least when I saw Marilyn Manson live, I did it for free because I knew somebody who was on the promotion team and they got me in free.
That's fair.
So
that's fair, but yeah, he can fuck right off. So you said you had a count. It's not. Wait, do you have one of these?
Also came from the South.
All right, what came from the South?
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh fuck!
Just to make it like you're the only person who went to a college where things happened.
I hear you. I totally hear what you're saying.
Who, by the way,
I'm sorry.
I also saw for fucking free. Because I didn't. I'll be honest. half the concerts I've ever been to in my life, I did not pay to get into, and I don't know whether that's me bragging or like if that's a sad thing, like I fucked those bands over.
Yeah.
But I saw Hootie and the Blowfish when they returned for their big world tour. They played the final night. They came back to Columbia and they played at the baseball stadium there.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got them free because I had a camera and I was working for the newspaper and I took pictures.
Yeah.
And
That's
anyway,
fair.
I got to see the whole fucking show for free.
I mean, it's kind of like what Matchbox 20.
They were that.
I would never listen to Matchbox 20, but on the days I have their songs stuck in my head, all the fucking time. The same is true with Hootie and the Blowfish.
Right.
Like, the other day I had Unwell in my head all day, and that's just because it came out of the 90s and I remember it. Like, all day.
I mean, it gets to live rent free in your head.
It does.
Right? Like,
and the same is true with Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, I get you.
I can do without his country career, but
in fairness to all of it, I was saying also, like, this is one of those things, like, as you get older, the shit from your youth, even the shit you eschewed when you were younger, you were like, I could care less for that. Yeah. Like, it gets mildly more tolerable.
Yeah. At some point you're like, it's nostalgia.
I'll hear like a Gin Blossom song and I'm like, this isn't the worst thing ever.
Exactly. But because I remember it. Yeah. And I think that's where we're going. So we didn't get to like half the shit.
Oh my God.
We didn't get to we got
real
to
quick, let's mention that in addition to grunge or alternative rock, there were other styles that were popular during the 90s. The golden era of hip hop and R&B.
Yes. Which we could do a different show.
I didn't listen to during that time period, but in retrospect, I've gone back and I've really appreciated. Me and my wife actually did a duet of "Regulate" by Warren G and Nate Dogg at our wedding.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So
there's the bubblegum pop, right? Like the Britney Spears, the Christina Aguilera, the Spice Girls, like,
right?
Those were
huge. All that.
Right, jam bands. You mentioned.
Oh my God, yeah.
Dave Matthews Band and all that.
Right.
Shit.
I would say Blues Traveler.
Fish
Sister Hazel.
Fish, not Fishbone. Yes, Sister Hazel. Absolutely.
Yeah, Fish. Widespread Panic.
Yes.
Oh, and then I've got some bands that I like that I've had to come to terms with the fact that they might be jam bands, and those are Ween, Jane's Addiction, Camper Van Beethoven.
Yeah.
Those are all bands that I thought I was so cool and I like these punk bands or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in retrospect,
it turns out they're jam
I
bands.
listened to them one day and I'm like, this is a fucking jam band. These guys are a goddamn jam band.
No, we went to a Counting Crows concert for a little while. They were playing with the band Augustana, which was a 2000s band. But they created like a super jam band. Yeah. So they actually called the tour Augustana and everything after. And it was the Counting Crows and Augustana, and it was just jam band. But you know what? I got fucking drunk as hell at that concert. It was the best goddamn thing I ever saw.
Hey, here's the thing about jam bands. If you're inebriated, it's okay.
It's brilliant.
If you're sober, you're gonna have a bad time.
That is true. All right, but we do have to. We're gonna have to go eat dinner soon.
Oh, it's true.
So we're gonna move on to the end of this episode.
Okay.
As we do, which you told me you had a things that are extra.
I did say that.
Which I believe, yeah. So tell me, what is that?
I was gonna talk about Wordle tonight. Wordle, which I used to love when it first came out. Oh, Wordle was my thing. It was my jam. I really thought it was a good damn waste of time for a minute. But then something happened, and I don't know. In the last week, I've decreasingly had any time for fucking Wordle. And also, I feel like I had a couple of hard days with Wordle, but a couple of hard days plus me not having the time, because even the days when I would try to, like, it'd be almost like 11, it'd be like 11:30, and I'd be like, oh shit, I haven't done Wordle today. I gotta hurry up and do Wordle.
I would get a couple of, so to give you a little background, we all used to post it on social media, right? And then eventually we were like, my entire social media is just Wordle. Yeah. So this is shit. So we stopped. So for some reason, Bill and I were sending each other our Wordle score.
I would send you and Emily my Wordle score every day. Like, those are the only two people I was like, these people give a damn about what my Wordle score is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would send it to Emily, and I would send it to Laura after I finished it, And then like I said, in the last week, I decreasingly had time for Wordle. Like it would come down to like it would be late at night, and I realized I haven't done Wordle yet. And then I felt like it was almost taxing. It was like, oh, it's like I have to. It was becoming a task.
I agree.
So I quit doing Wordle. I gave up Wordle. I just fuck Wordle. I don't care about Wordle. You know what the funny thing is? 2 days after I gave up Wordle, I read an article about how everybody on Earth gave up Wordle. Like apparently it lost its shine. It quit being new.
Well, it got bought by the
New York Times, and it's just the whole fucking thing. Anyway, nobody gives a damn anymore.
Stop posting your
if you do Wordle and you get a good score, great, good for you.
Enjoy that.
Enjoy your endorphins or whatever the fuck, and don't tell everybody else about it because nobody gives a shit.
Nobody cares anymore. You can stop. Yeah, we even stopped. Like the other day, I stopped sending it to you, and then one day you sent it to me again, and I'm like, oh shit, we're still doing that. And I was like, and then you stopped again.
And then I stopped again, and now I'm telling you'll never hear about it again.
Please stop.
Like, you'll never hear about Wordle ever again from me because I'm done with it.
If I get a wild hair, like especially first, like if I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning for some unknown reason, and I don't, and like I'm just getting started with my day, and I don't want to think too hard, I'll start it with Wordle.
I don't know. The last week I played that shit. I don't know if I would say that you're not going to think too hard.
That's fair.
You're going to think a bit.
You'll think a bit. All right, we are gonna go eat our. Bill has a dinner.
Bill has pasticcio.
Yeah, we're gonna have pasticcio, which is if you don't know, it's a Greek lasagna style dish. It's very delicious.
I love it.
We usually have pizza, but we're gonna have pizza tomorrow. So I told Bill he couldn't have pizza today,
and I was okay with it because you know what? I get lots of pizza anyway,
and you get free food. It's all good.
And I'm not going to get free pasticcio anywhere else.
That's true. Rarely.
I may get a free pizza somewhere else. So,
unless you know a lot of Greek people, you're rarely going to get free pasticcio.
Right. Exactly.
So maybe we'll do a Greek food show.
We should do a Greek food show. I put that on the list.
I'm a surprise.
All the other damn, we got enough show ideas to last us another 3 years.
Yeah. You have no idea our list. All right, folks. So, Bill, why don't you take us away?
All right. Hold on. Oh God, I thought I had something clever to say before we. Oh, I did. Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that rhythm is life, and life is rhythm. Because I didn't get to talk about 90s R&B, so that's all I'm going to leave you with.
We'll make that another show.
Yeah, but anyway, Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are his and his alone, unless Laura agreed with him. We mostly agreed tonight. I feel like
it was our coming of age. I think we have a fairly
one of the levels on which we relate, I would say. Anyhow, they're not necessarily those of our sponsors who didn't pay us a dime.
Who's also a couple years younger than us, so probably has a different experience.
He's got a whole different thing that he likes. Like his favorite band from the 90s is probably Stone Temple Pilots or something.
I found that funnier than I should have. That shouldn't have been that funny. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
He really likes 7 Mary 3. I don't know. Anyway, it's not really true. Don't take that as a word.
Please don't. I'm just talking. Don't email Geek Orthodox with their.
No, because they probably don't like either of those bands, or maybe they do, but just mildly. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just shooting my mouth off. I'm just, I had a lot of beer. I had a lot of beer.
That's fair.
What was I trying to say? Okay, don't hold them accountable. Be sure to like and subscribe on the Facebook and the YouTube. Be sure to. That's YouTube. Like
follow
and subscribe.
Us and shit.
Yeah, do that. Thumbs up, whatever. Send us some email. Ask us some questions. Complain. Whatever you want to do. I don't give a shit. Tune in next week. That's what I care about.
For another. And I also did not look at the.
Oh my God! You don't even know what the hell we're talking about next week.
We don't either.
It could be anything.
Hooray!
I tell you what, it won't be 90s music, cats, and tacos.
That's true because those are the last 3 episodes.
It won't be.
Maybe we'll surprise you. Maybe we will do a second installment. But all right, we'll see you all in a week.
Yeah.
Have a good one, everybody. Go listen to "Happiness Is a Fish You Can't Catch."
Yeah, do that.
That's what you should do. All right, bye, everybody.